club. Kevin and Bruce, you just can't speak too highly of them. I mean, this club's just them. Without them back in, they did the merger with Canterbury and they've done all the Georges River. They got all the sponsors they got. There was never any money in the game in our time, and
Yes.
the sponsors they got now and the affiliation with St George Grade Club,
Yes.
they were unbelievable. And Kevin came across to us from the Benelong pub.
I heard that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was. We were battling. We weren't battling. We had a fair team, but we had it was about 1980, maybe 81, 82,
Kev has played with us from '83.
83, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he came across with about six other players, and they're all terrific first grade players. And our club just boomed after that.
Yes. Yes.
And that was the start of us getting better than what we were. We just battled along, come last in A grade and B grade and whatever. And then they came. There was Gary Lumsden, there was Stevie Lyons, there was
Yes.
Glenn the leg spinner,
Yeah.
there was Peter Shields.
Oh, Pete came in that troop as well.
Yeah, the whole
Right.
whole section. Peter, me and Pete. I was best man at Pete's wedding.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was Croomy, there was Dickie Nee, Dave Neves.
Yeah. Okay.
There's names in all the record books, and
Yeah.
probably 7 or 8 of them come
Gotcha.
across.
And that was all Kev's doing. Kev brought that.
Well,
that
Kev was amongst all them. I don't know whether he was the instigator or not.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, he fitted into the club, and
Yeah.
we had a lot of those players for a lot of years. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
And Kev's just stayed, and he's just Mr.
Yeah. Well, he's.
I call it Mr. Bexley. It was Mr. George's River these days.
True. Yeah. But the Bexley blood.
And
runs
Bruce,
strong.
well, he was. We'll go to Bruce later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Kevin, he's just the club owes him so much it doesn't matter.
Yeah. True. Yeah. I've been president for the last 12 years.
Well, is he?
08, 09 he was president, and he's been there ever since.
Yeah, I know Bruce is the legend of Shires, but now Kevin should be there. He's earned it more than anyone I know.
Yeah.
Also our president for the last 12 years, Mr. Kevin Croom.
Captain Grumpy, yeah. Yeah. Yes, I know Kevin.
Sorry?
Played under Kevin, I captain Kevin.
Yeah, okay.
He's the most sarcastic, driest son of a bitch I've ever come across in my life.
Mate, good. I'm glad I got that recorded.
And was just the grumpiest captain in the history of cricket, I think. He was classic. He get back. I mean, so I assume he still can, but he had a couple of seasons.
Kev, as I said before, Kev knows how to get runs. He just knows the formula.
Yeah, there was a couple of seasons there he just couldn't not score runs. So yeah, he was a really good cricketer to watch. Always very attacking. Didn't like to hang around and just play out the day. He was always after the bowlers and always after school.
Yes.
And he loved his quick singles, so he'd run you in the ground and kill you trying to run wickets.
He loved a quick single back then. That's something I don't remember, because Kev was my first captain when I joined Bexley. I don't remember him for his quick singles. Okay.
Well, if you didn't run hard enough, he'd just give it to you at the other end too. I remember a game, Macquarie Uni. This is sort of guy was. I had a running battle with a guy from Macquarie Uni over a number of years, and I was in first slip, and I was absolutely just giving it to him more than I probably should have. Evan had put himself in the short leg, and Simon, complained to him as captain, said, your first slip is, being quite rude to me, sort of thing. And Kevin just totally stone-faced, helmet on his head, arms crossed, just said, well, I think he thinks you're a and you are. And that was it. Just deadpan, just didn't take any crap. It was very, very funny man. I loved him.
So there was no action taken.
No, not
yourself?
back then. As the umpires, their umpires explained, there were 22 guys playing cricket and 21 players hated him.
Right.
So,
okay.
Had no support from anyone.
Mate, that's not good. Even your teammates haven't got your back. That's not good.
No, but he's one of those guys. He just, I couldn't get him out, and I dropped him, and just over time, he was an absolute nightmare. And everyone had him. I mean, Tony Hart, who played with us at the time, he famously stomped on his helmet. He thought it was his helmet on the sideline when they were fielding, and as we ran off from umpiring, he stomped on it to snap and then realised it wasn't his helmet. And then he ended up. He just didn't remember all that, and then in the latter years, he always used to come at afternoon tea and come and talk to me. As Renfrey, Cole, Tom, all those guys were sitting there laughing at me, and I couldn't get away from him. In the end, when I started practicing law, I go into the courtroom, and there he is on the opposite side. I couldn't get away from him. This guy.
About your time with Kevin on the committee as well? Because you've
Kevin
done so much for the club from that respect for decades.
Kevin was already on the committee when I joined, I think. And he was treasurer for a lot of the time.
A long time, yep.
And then he stood down a little bit because when I was president, I don't think he was on the committee. I think he had a bit of a break by then. There was Bruce, myself, and then a range of others.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he was very good on the committee because he just didn't let things drag on. I mean, unfortunately, we used to laugh at a couple of personal picadillos with Caro and other guys like that. So most of the time, the committee meetings delved into a shambles. I'm sure if you asked Tomo about Caro, he'd have similar stories. But Kevin just did. It was always let's get going, move on.
Yeah, true. And it does run a tight ship.
Yeah, and if anything sort of popped up as an issue, or someone was complaining, or we had something that rather than being that sensitive, how do we manage it properly and nicely? Kevin was very black and white. Well, you can just basically suck it in and fuck off. Sort of basically Kevin's approach to things back then. Yes,
fair enough. No, he's still straight to the point. And look, and he got results, and he still gets results. So no, we're indebted to him, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, he is. Unfortunately, I lost a little bit of contact when I stopped playing, but I've been involved in a lot of junior cricket down this way. But I'd count him as one of my close friends from my 20 years there. So.
Yeah, Mr. Croom, a man of a few words, but those words are always decisive words.
Yes.
You know where you stand with Kevin from the first minute you know him, and basically he likes you or he doesn't. He got the nickname Captain Cranky quite a few seasons back, and it's always stuck. And it's probably one of the most appropriate nicknames I've come across.
Yeah.
But a true stalwart of the club.
Absolutely.
Do anything for the club. Doesn't mind at all getting his hands dirty on doing anything at all, whether it be pulling up the covers or filling up the fridge with soft drinks or beers.
Yeah.
He's a true inspiration for any up and coming cricketer.
Yep.
A very astute captain. I would say that he's probably the best captain I ever played under.
Yeah. Okay. That's a big call because you've played under many a captain.
Yes. I'd say, he was playing second grade for a fair bit when I first met him.
Yeah.
Because I was in first grade. I didn't play many first grade games with him actually. But when I sort of went down the grade, so to speak, in thirds and fours, he was my captain, or I was his captain, and very decisive in his field placings and a good strategist. He knew what to do. He didn't take any backward step from an opposing captain.
Yeah.
I've seen him do call off games. I remember one game here at Bexley Oval, we'd been playing through the rain without an official umpire, of course.
Yeah.
And there was water across the wicket. It was as though it was two 2 inches of water across the whole wicket. And we were after points against Lingfield, and the captain of Lingfield wasn't anyone's favourite. And Kevin
Right.
was going to get a result no matter what.
Yeah.
Anyway, it came to a point where it was so dangerous that every time a bloke played a shot, the actual handle was so wet on the bat, it was slipping out of the hand and ending up at square leg.
Oh, shite. Okay.
And the umpire at square leg was in the most dangerous position. Well, Kevin, in his own way, at the end of an over, though we were 9 down, and I think 8 or 9, I couldn't be sure, but we were within sight of victory, and it was raining so heavy. At the end of the over, he just went up to the stumps, pulled me on the ground and said, "Game over." We walked off.
Oh, you got the points?
Well, a draw is worth
Good enough?
nothing there. So it was all for nothing. And if I remember right, if I wasn't the president of the club at that stage, I was I wouldn't have been the secretary. But I was down at the ground here, like within a few days after the ground, and the groundsman looked at me and said, "Can you believe they played here on the weekend?" And I wasn't at all going to say that I was part of it.
Yeah,
I just shook my
okay.
head and I said, "Oh, that's overboard." But Kevin, his ongoing commitment to the club, and he's also involved his son Ryan in it.
Yeah, that's passing of the baton. It was just great.
Ryan is a shadow of his dad, in that he's taken on roles that his father's done over the years.
Yes.
I couldn't speak more highly of Kevin on and off the field.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure on and off the field. The involvement never takes a backward step on and off the field, and there's no second chances with Kevin. I've seen him tell young blokes that don't bother, just go home
Yeah, okay.
if a guy's turned up late.
Yep.
They've driven up the laneway there at Bland Oval, and we've been out in the field playing short, and the bloke's turned up late, and he's just sort of turned around and said, "Turn around and go home."
Well, you mentioned him before briefly, but I'm sure you've got a lot to talk about him. Canterbury Bexley life member, played from 83, 84. He's held every committee position. He's been along with Mr. Whitehouse, I think the pillars of the club, president for the last 12 years.
Captain Cranky.
That's the one.
Yep.
What can you tell me about him?
No, if ever anyone fitted into their nickname, it's him, Captain Cranky. Cranky Croom. Yeah, no, I remember Croomy came to the club. Would you say 83, 84?
83, 84, yeah.
Yeah, when we had a big group come over from what was called the Banalong Cricket Club, who were basically for a team that played out of the pub there at Beverly Hills. There was Croomy, there was David Neve, Peter Shields, who went on to be first grade captain.
Yep.
Craig Pinkerton, Glenn Johnson, and I've forgotten his name. Yeah, there were a few others too. Steve Lyons, that's it. Libby
yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
As I say, Shilsey was there for about 4 or 5 years. Good cricketer.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, but Kevin's been there from
Kevin stayed there
from his first day. He's been
he's
such an influence on the club.
He has. He's a natural leader. He's one of the best captains I reckon I ever played under. Again, that one of the standout years for me is obviously that second grade year where we played the final at Westmead. That was under Kev, and we didn't just win games. We enjoyed our cricket that year too. It always helps when you're winning, but it was just a good team we had. And he was just the natural leader of that side, and he always has. You see, even now sometimes when he plays over 50s with us, if he's not captain, he still has a fair bit of influence on the field.
He makes his presence known.
Yeah, and you look to him in the field. I don't know when Tomo was captain, but I'll be fielding, near Croom, and he just, "Hey, mate, go in. He's just useless there. Go in." And I'd follow him because it's just out of habit, I suppose.
Yes,
He's the voice that I've listened to, and And we give him a hard time about being Captain Cranky, but he's one thing he does.
But
He
he's
gets
led from the
respect,
front.
and he gets respect from not just from us old blokes, but from young players as well.
Yeah, that's right.
I've seen young kids come into the team. And, sometimes you question their attitude, but with Kev, he's always got their respect, and they'll do what he says. I don't know if they're scared of him, but he does have a sense of humour too.
Yes.
You love to. He's always a good guy to have a beer with after the game too.
Exactly. Yes.
He always plays the game the right way.
Yeah,
Plays it hard, but enjoys it. He's got a lot of runs over a lot of years.
Yeah.
I think he'd be well. There'd be
a lot there. I haven't got the number.
I think there's Harry Milburn. I think there's Trevor, and there's probably Croom.
He's not too far away. He's up there. Yeah. But off the field, I mean, you would have worked with him for a long time because you were treasurer for a long time. Kev would have been definitely on the committee for various roles. He's always had an influence off the field as well.
Yeah. As I say, he's just he's just a genuine leader. He loves the game, loves the club. Always acts in the best interest of the club. There's never acts out of self-interest. It's always doing the right thing for the club, the team, whatever. The individual.
Mr. Kevin Croom, some know him Captain Cranky.
I've never heard of him.
Mate, tell me.
Kevin who? Kevin, he's the crankiest bloke who ever played cricket. Also, one of the funniest blokes in the field. I'd like to pass on the story about Simon from Macquarie Uni, but I won't because it's got 4-letter words in it. But again, Kevin's a core of people that was here when Kevin came from the Benelong Cricket Club. Kevin is a core of people that was here. To my friend down here on my right, who's been with us, been with us for all many years. As it's not just about on field; it's off field. I mean, Kevin's figures speak for themselves. That sort of distinctive way of batting. Fingers like plasticine because you broke a hand trying to take a catch of a ringer. No, it's people like him and my friend down here, Tomo, that held the joint together through tough times.
No, that's true. For me, the three that I admire most, Tomo, yourself, and Kev. For me, in my time, they're the guys I look up to.
Yeah, it's nice. That's nice. But it's not about it's not about everyone has a crack on the field. We're playing Shires cricket. We're not superstars like Premier cricketers. We've got this beautiful facility right here today, which is the best ground in Shires, and actually shit all over some of the grey grounds I've umpired at. But it's what you bring to the club as a person, the time you give, the sacrifices you make away from your personal life, and the hours and hours and hours you spend off the field, trying to make on the field better for everyone.
And that's what Kev's done. Kev's done that since it seems like from his first day in this club.
Very intimidating if you don't know him.
Yeah, true. Yes, he's straight up and down.
Very straight. But, very good at collecting money from people.
True. Yeah. Yes.
Very intimidating.
Mate, and he was there through the hard times as well throughout the 90s. He was there, boots and all.
Absolutely. The same time I was mentioning in my 4th grade 1990s, we had the presentation at your house. There was only about 10 people there, 15 people there. But that, and those people have been there, and I think where we are today is a recognition of what's come before us. Those people have given their time, their everything they've given over many, many years, and still do in different ways.
Yeah.
But I can't give as much now. I'll find cricket balls for us.
Yeah. I think it's fitting, mate. It is the Croom White House, or the White House Croom shield as well, taking over from Harry Milburn.
Yeah, it's interesting. The poor bastard, he's supposed to be a good player, and you get a shield named after me. He's a 4th grade hacker.
Mate, you're being modest.
No, 4th grade hacker, I'm being honest. So what he's brought to the club, and I include Tomo in this because he's just here on my right. I learned a lot from the cranky bastard. I learned how to be cranky. Also learn out, it's you do it because you want to do it, you do it because you like to do it, because it's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun,
Yeah.
We've grown from, and Tomo's been driving the old fellas cricket
for quite a number of years now, and that's grown exponentially. And that's Tomo's legacy will be the fact that he's seen the club grow from 2 teams to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. Frank Grace Shield, all of a sudden over 40s, over 50s, over 60s, and over 70s. You know why he does that? Make sure he gets a game of cricket.
President for the last 12 years. He is one of the cornerstones of the club. Captain Cranky, what can you tell me about him? That is suitable for a PG rating.
Where do you start with Croomy? I think you summed it up, one of the stalwarts of the club. In terms of his importance, his presidency has just been awesome for the organisation, and he a very deep thinker, Kev, but he's done a lot for the club as president over the last several years.
Yeah.
And moved us from into the success that we're experiencing today in terms of the under 24s. Very pragmatic sort of guy, Kev.
Yeah.
Understated, but mate, we had a lot of good times playing cricket together over the years. He captained, and I was vice captain in second grade for quite a long time, and he's Captain Cranky for a reason. He certainly doesn't suffer fools particularly well. There was more than one individual that's had to do the fine leg to fine leg trick for miscreants, but a really, really good batsman in his own right. That forearm jab that Kevin's
Mate, that signature shot of his.
It's a signature shot.
Signature, yeah,
And
just
he's got
that
a lot
punch
of
bang.
runs, got a lot of runs for the club. He's a very, very capable cricketer. Good,
He knows how to score runs.
good catcher.
He just knows.
He does know how to score runs. But he was one of the better captains you'd want to captain under. We had a guy that Mark Schwartz, who some of us know, who played a lot of second grade cricket, and people would not have, or B grade as it was known in those days.
Back those, yeah, one of the first guys I remember when I started.
Yeah. People kind of underestimated Schwartz's bowling. She used to bowl very loopy leg spin, and Kevin just knew how to get the best out of him. So
Yes. And that's the mark of a good skipper.
completely correct, right? So Schwartz would be asked to bowl, 2 or 3 overs before tea, and I'd be, sent down to long off. And
With your massive hands.
I don't know how many catches I took off these guys. Their eyes would light up. They'd forget that it was 2 overs before tea, and they'd just try and tonk him as far as they could. Particularly at Bexley Oval, I remember it down towards their houses there. They'd be trying to put him on the road, and there'd be catches taken down there.
Beautiful.
And there'd be 2 or 3 wickets that we'd just pick up in that period, and he'd leave him on for 1 or 2 after tea. But he knew when to bring him on, knew when to take him off, he knew when to get the most out of him. But
Yes.
he was never. Krummy's not a bloke to be afraid of telling you the honest truth, which is kind of handy. A lot of guys when they captain are a bit sort of, they'll bowl someone 2 overs too long because they're a bit worried about hurting feelings. Well, that never worried Kevin. He was always about what was best for the club and the team, or the team when he was captaining, and then from the president's perspective, what's best for the club.
Yes.
One of the guys who left us in weird circumstances recently, Kevin rang up and demanded his baggy blue back, which was
Yes, I pretty much knew what you were going to say there. Yeah, and the guy was devastated to give up his baggy blue, but yeah, Kev called it, and fair enough.
Kev called it, and it did come back. But
Yes.
no, really good fella, and the amount of time and work that he's put into the club, and that's transferred out to his young blokes now.
Now to Ryan, club captain.
He's just translated that down to his son, who's probably a much better cricketer than Kev in many respects. Good batsman, wasn't able wicketkeeper until he had a very unfortunate injury to his fingers. But yeah, no, just one of the best. And
Now, your memories on and off the field.
Well, I've obviously enjoyed myself because I've been here since 1983.
Yep.
Been at the club longer than I've been married. My son's now playing at the club, so I'm very pleased about that and very proud that he seems to have the same commitment that I had at his age.
And still have, yeah. So Ryan Croom, club captain, that's a great honour.
And I started playing, like I said, 83, 84. I played just in the local Canterbury competition for maybe the last previous 5 years, and we'd won, I reckon, 4 of those 5 years, the competition, the last 3 in first grade, and our second team had also won the 3 premierships in a row. So we're looking for a challenge. Sick of playing against the same blokes, so a few of
and
us
on
came
Synthel
over,
as well.
and that was on synthetic as well. I think we'd finished with the mats.
Yes.
By that stage, only just finished with the mats.
Definitely remember that time.
And so we're looking for a challenge. So there was a few of us came over, and the plan was for more to come over, but unfortunately it didn't eventuate. But there was probably 6 of us the first year, and Peter Shields hung around for a few years, and he captained first grade after a while. But the most, unfortunately, only came for 1 or 2 seasons. Bexley Oval, I knew Bexley Oval because I lived in the area, and I actually played soccer quite a bit on the outer. And my father, who played soccer, I remember watching him play inside.
Oh, right, okay.
Years before. I played school cricket at Hutcho and Bland.
Yeah, okay.
Before they pulled down Narwee Boys. But so I knew those grounds as well with Canterbury.
Yeah.
Local derbies, you see local derbies, and well, there being a South supporter, and how much South and the Roosters hate one another. Well, Canterbury and Bexley wasn't far behind.
Right, okay.
First grade was pretty brutal games,
Yep.
and we didn't have umpires at the start.
Yes.
But it'd be interesting to know when we started getting umpires regularly. I can remember them in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
In first grade, you know, I would say the late 80s, maybe early 90s at the very best. But for the first however many half dozen seasons, probably, very seldom did we see an umpire.
Yep.
Maybe they had them in the finals, but we never figured there. So
Yeah, okay.
so that's it. But so I knew about the club, and I also knew some blokes from school that had missed out playing for St George. They'd gone and played for Bexley, and there's also some good names that had played for Bexley and gone on and played a lot of first grade for St George. So it had the connection. When you look back at the old annual reports, the club had a good connection with St George, and we still got a connection with St George. Maybe not as clear as what they had back then, but it's still there.
Yeah, and you've been involved in the committee almost from your first season. From very early on, you were involved, extensively.
Yeah. Yes. I'd generally been captain of sides coming up as a kid, and so I was slotted into second grade captain fairly quickly. I admit second grade was my grade. First grade was a bit hard for me. I had a couple of years there as captain through necessity,
Right.
which was enjoyable. Played against Peter Toohey, so that was pretty good. And another fellow that played for Australia, Graham Beard, and other very good players. And we had some good players. We had some good players like Trevor. Trevor could certainly hold his own, and there's a couple other fellas. Ray Nixon was very good. Chris Benjamin, Drew Paternoster, and others that could hold their own. Unfortunately, you really needed 8 or 9 of those calibre to hold your own. It was very strong. As the top teams still playing are very strong in the competition now.
Yeah. I suppose looking back then in your early days, who were the guys that were an influence on you, either on or off the field?
Well, off the field, it was only having the two. We only had the 2 teams, obviously, and the fellas that were the core of the club, the 15 or 16 playing first grade and those in second grade, which would tend to go up and down depending on availability, stuck together pretty well. So the social side was close knit because there's only, like I said, 15 or 16 to call upon.
Yeah.
As regulars. The after season party was quite good. The presentation night as such could be rather more intimate than what it is at Club Rivers. Went on a river cruise, George's River Cruise, of course, leaving from East Hills.
Yep, good old East Hills, yes.
Yeah, so that was one. The Napier Door at Hurstville, where Tomo had far too much red wine and managed to find a microphone.
Bit of a pattern there.
Yeah, a couple of at Trevor and Jay's place, and a lot of singing, a lot of drinking, and some good food. I mentioned before Marty's parents' place.
Yep.
That's another one I remember. But it was very social, just like it is now. Again, there's a core group of probably 15 or 16 which get about to only of a Saturday night or whatever. It'd be great to expand it, but it just seems to be it's a bit harder as a work your way down through the grades and the ages differ and that sort of stuff. So so off the field it was Trevor, it was Ian McPherson, it was Marty, it was Pete, and when Whitehouse joined and Roy, Rowan Clark, Dixie Marshall, those sorts of blokes.
Yeah.
It was good fun. Ray Nixon, as I said.
Yeah.
He was from New Zealand, so the original nickname of Kiwi. But
I can ask you this. I've never heard this term before, but one or two may have mentioned the term. I think it was called Captain Cranky. I've never heard the term before, but they have attributed that term to you. Have you ever heard that before, or do you think it's any merit in that term?
Yeah, there may well be, and I don't think that I really had to say anything. They just had to look at me, or I had to look at them to know that I wasn't particularly happy. And it wasn't. I don't think it was to do with drop catches. It was more to do with poor shot selections, which I was guilty of myself on numerous occasions, and tardiness in turning up. Very still harsh on that, because what they don't realise, particularly when we first started, you just used to turn up. There was no covers. It was just a matter of putting the stumps out and away you go and have a bit of a warm up. Now there's obviously side screens, covers, all that sort of stuff. So if you don't turn up on time, you're letting your mates down because they have to do more work. Everyone's there. It all gets done really quick. So yes, I was always harsh on people that were late, and I let them know. Those that drop out with no excuse or with a pathetic excuse. Whitehouse, my wife's having a baby, so he misses the grand final.
Oh no, that's a bit.
Gave that young Jeremy Berenger a go. So that was that was pretty ordinary. Excuse. There's others. I had to pick my girlfriend up from the airport. She'd been on holidays. That relationship didn't last too much longer after that. But anyway.
Priorities, God.
Yes. My wife is very understanding. Everyone that knows her thinks that she's stupid for putting up with me, my antics with cricket, with not missing many.
And as you said, now yourself and Ryan, she must have patience at the same time.
Well, she wasn't keen that he found a love of cricket, and wives, they do say some strange things from time to time. You do realise you'll have to take him to cricket. I won't be doing it. And I thought, well, that's a sacrifice I'll gladly make.
Right, yes.
But his last game of under 16s. He's captain of the side. Unfortunately, they lost the final. So as we're driving out of the car park, she said, well, thank goodness I don't have to go any more cricket games. So the only cricket game that she's since come to was under 24's final that he played in up at Weldon.
Right.
So she had to sit through that, and he didn't have a great day with the bat there. But there is a video of him stumping someone, which I'm sure he'll quite happily get that out on Facebook for you. It comes up on every anniversary. But
I'll ping him for that.
she actually did see that. Normally, when he's playing cricket, when he's playing soccer and he scores a goal, she misses that because she's too busy talking to someone. But she did see that stumping and thought that was pretty good. But
So mate, tell me, last 12 years you've been president. There's only, I think, a couple of guys who have held that role longer than you.
well, this will be heard. I bet you this will be heard. Right, it was heard. Yeah.
Oh, was?
It was heard.
12 years.
I almost wasn't club president. We got married, and I did miss a game. I did miss a game of cricket, and I did drag a couple of people away from the game. We got married on the 13th of October, and when I'd been treasurer, and then I switched over to being president.
Yep.
May have failed to mention that at home, that I'd changed roles, and a letter arrived addressed to the president of George Stripper Cricket Club. So the gig was up, and
No.
Ryan tried to run interference for me, but it was no good.
Oh, he's a good man.
But we were going away for the weekend for our wedding anniversary, and we didn't go away that weekend for our wedding anniversary. So not only did I not get to go away for the weekend, but I'd made myself unavailable for cricket, so I missed a game of cricket as well. So when I turned up to cricket, and they said, "What are you doing here?" And I had to tell them the story. So so almost wasn't president, and like most wives, that story comes up from time to time.
Yeah. And I bet she's thrilled to hear it.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yes.
right. She'll be surprised that it's 12 years. But being president, well, I enjoy doing it, and I've seen massive changes in that time with the teams that we've had, and the challenges that we have to face. We went through a period of greater success, and I don't mean that's because of me being president. It's just the cycle, and we've had these young blokes that have come along and won the 24s, and the nucleus of that have stayed. And you've got someone like Daniel Yates that's been with the club now for I suppose he's become up to 10 years.
Yeah.
He'll be coming up to 10 years at least.
Yeah.
And is a very good first grade cricketer. He's brought along his mate Chris MacArthur, who's had his flirt with St George. He's now happily playing with us.
He's certainly not too shabby.
That's right, and he goes all right. And Riley Orr, Luke Byron, Pat Kennedy, Curtis Cheney, now Ben Saunders, and they're all these blokes that have had great success. Nick and Rob Enriques, great success through 24s, and they obviously like playing together. They're now, some of them are getting to 30. Well, Ryan's 30, and I think he's the oldest of the bunch, and the others are a couple of years younger. Sean Mantle, should mention Sean Mantle. And so they've been around for a period of time, which is what people like Trevor Davies and Peter Renfrey myself, Marty, Cole, and those. So you've got to have your nucleus, and the nucleus now are actually better, are legitimate first grade players.
Yeah.
And you know, we're only missing a couple of players in first grade, and we could just go that step further. But we've got, you know, Ben Churcher. So they've been around for a while, and that's what we've got to do. So we've gone through a period there, and some of these young blokes that have come along, that can be down to David Yates. So it worked out fantastic that Daniel was quite happy playing with us, and David was the rep coordinator for the St George.
George, yeah, and he's done so much for the club.
So he knew everyone. So for years, these young blokes would come along, and Dave will tell you, one year there was like 20 or over 20 blokes playing for St George who had played a game with us. They've only played one, but they had played a game with us.
Yes.
And on the way through, so he was able to draw on these people, and a lot of them have stayed because they've been happy. And why wouldn't you be happy playing with us?
Absolutely.
And that.
Yeah.
But we're lucky with the groundsman as well. We're lucky with the councils. You go on the north side, mainly the north side. No one works on the weekend. So if you're playing on a Saturday, you're playing on a Saturday. If you haven't been able to prepare the wicket because there's been rain, but Saturday is a great day, well, no one's going to be there to do it unless you put your hand in your pocket and pay some extra.
Yes.
And Sunday with the 24s at Bexley with Trent looking after them, and there's not too many grounds get looked after like Bexley does, and well, Steve's got to be one of the hardest working groundsmen in Sydney.
He's a good man.
Two squares and practice wickets. So you know, it's fantastic, and you know, we're lucky with that. Doesn't cost us an arm and a leg. We've always thought we were struggling for sponsors. We're still not. You know, you'd always like some more money, but we've got 3 or 4 good sponsors.
Yes.
Might be a bit difficult this year with them, with 3 of them being clubs and pubs.
True, with this COVID capers.
That's right. Thanks to COVID, but we have been able to improve financially, which is good. We're up for a challenge now because the junior numbers are down in the well down in the area, and grade's always dominated, but they didn't used to worry for 14 and 15 and 16-year-olds.
Yes.
Now they're taking them, so it's becoming a lot harder. Tomo's done a great job with the 40s, 50s and 60s.
Veterans, yeah, it's been great.
The last couple of years I played the 50s was fantastic because of some games there could have been as many as 7 or 8 blokes that I'd played with in Shires cricket. So that was good. That was really enjoyable, and you know, everyone has their problems, but overall it goes along fine. I've got some great people on the committee, and people in the past have had their fortes and what they can do in organising.
Yep.
We've got Curtis as second year. This will be his second season as secretary. He's got some great contacts. He's got some ideas, which is good. And
it's what we need.
There's some of the young blokes that are interested in coming on the committee, and so that's fine.
Pass the baton. It's perfect.
Yep. You just got to get someone to take over being president eventually, and but then when cricket is washed out on a Saturday, my wife doesn't want me at home anyway, so you can't win. You can't win.
Mate, well, I think you're being extremely modest. A lot of the success has been because of your stewardship throughout those 12 years. I've really enjoyed interviewing all these guys, and it's really clear that there's guys like you, Bruce, Tomo, who have built the club. So I think you're being extremely modest, mate. So on behalf of the club, mate, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeremy. That's nice.